I figured I'd make a video of this stage of my workflow that I've kind of modified a bit. I posted the video how I create all these cut points, and this is kind of it in action. So what I did was I took 120 grit sandpaper and just scuffed up the surface of where I'm going to join the surfaces. So here are the little 3D printed elements, and then I'm just test fitting them, and I just did a second ago, but pop it in, make sure it fits, and if it does, awesome. So then what I'm doing is I'm just taking this little super glue and I'm just dabbing just a little bit. It's probably hard to see in the video, but not a lot. I don't want a huge puddle, I just want enough for it to grip. And then what I do is I have this super glue activator. I just kind of spray a little bit on the base and pop it into the hole. There we go. So did that one, do the same thing on this one. Just a little bit of an activator and pop it in. And then as you can see, I got a little bit of excess super glue, and that's what I try to avoid, because that's just going to be out on the lip and create a bump, if you will, for the seam to connect. And as you can see, because of the activator, it does dry extremely fast. So I just take my little X-Acto knife and trim the fat, if you will, because I do want this to be as flush as possible. So any extra bump, I just take it out. There we go. So now I'm going to test fit this again, make sure everything is still good. As you can see, this seam is pretty flawless. It's really good. So just again, little test fit. There we go. And I am very happy with how this is looking. Now, what I did with the other one, that mold, is I just used super glue to connect all the joints. I kind of want to try 5-minute epoxy on this side just to help prevent any leaks through the seams, but for the sake of this, I might just leave it as is, because I'm gonna resin coat it, and that'll be a test on my next mold. So then anyhow, to connect the two halves is, once I did a little test fit and I know it fits very well, I go in with the activator and I just spray a bunch of it on. So this will be my super glue side. So I take the super glue and I add kind of a generous amount in the holes and just create a nice big lip. There we go. Because at this point I want it to seal as much of this inside as possible. So I'm not being frugal with it. So there we go. Like that. And then what I do is I take the activator spray it on this side, and then it's just a matter of forcing the two sides together and just holding them tight for a second or two. So there we go. And now, as you can see, it even starts steaming a little bit. It's literally fusing the plastic together and melting it. So there we go. And you can see how it's really steaming on the back side. So there we go. And that's how I connect my molds. And so I just kind of repeat the same process across the whole thing. So what I'll do is I'll just spray a little bit of an activator on this stuff in case anything's not fully cured yet. There we go. That's feeling nice and dry. And just like that. So of course you want to sand this down and get it flush, and that's what I did here. But that in a nutshell is my method of connecting the pieces. Alright, figured I'd do an update video. So this part I just finished sanding. Gotta polish this inner surface. It's not mandatory, but this one I polished up. It looks kind of nice, so I figured I'll do this one too. Like I've done in the past, typically I would sand this to like 220 or 180 and primer it. This time, however, because I'm dialing in my print settings, my seams are like non-existent. These layer lines, as you could see, and I don't know if based on camera's perspective how it's picking up, they're almost gone. I do see a little crevice here that I'm not liking, so I might have to fill another layer of resin just to make sure it's completely filled in. But overall, the Hero inner surface is very nice and tight. And that's why I'm not really going to do the primer this time. I'm just going to wax this surface and try to lay it up and infuse it. But as you can see, the two halves perfectly line up. All right, so got this thing waxed and masked off all the edges that I need. And now it's time to start laying this carbon fiber inside the mold. So what I'm going to do, because this carbon fiber, you can see, is kind of stiff right now, I'm going to use a heat gun and just warm it up a little bit. And that helps it take shape a little better. That's it. Now, as you can see, when it's softer, it's really wiggly and adjustable. So I'm just kind of roughly place it where I see I want to put it. Now, I'm just going to make sure that's clean. Make sure the mold surface is as clean as I could get it. And just do a very gentle mist of this Super 71. There we go. Nothing too crazy yet. So now I'm just going to use this side as my lining up template, if you will. And place it right around there. Perfect. So that is the base layer. And now I'm just going to start cutting up more pieces and putting more in place. Not really going to record that. Is same thing over and over, very tedious. So at this point there's plenty of videos on my channel with it. But hopefully that kind of, with what I'm doing here, showed how I do these annoying corners all around. And right now I keep going around and testing it to make sure nothing's like bubbling and lifting like it was over here. So now that I know everything's staying true to the mold, I have good confidence that I won't get bridging when I infuse. However, there's always a risk, but that's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video, and then I'll just turn it on when I'm at the peel ply stage. All right, got everything laid out. Got my peel ply nice and snug in all the crevices and all the corners. Got the Flowmesh in the base. I don't do it in the corners simply because I don't want to risk any bridging. So the only place I do have it is right here, just for the resin to kind of spread out. So my game plan is I'm gonna have the infusion line right here, the vacuum line right there, and it should be sitting upright. Anyhow, the last step I'm gonna do is just weigh my mold with all the goodies inside. Let's figure out how much resin I'm gonna need. So it's coming out to be 577. So 577.8, and since it has a few extra materials, so let's see, my mold's original weight was 535. So 577 minus 535, that's 42. All right, and moment of truth. So this thing is done baking. Now we need to see what the heck this part looks like. This tool out. Yeah, I'm not gonna force it out. What I'm gonna do is what I've always done. Throw it in the freezer and then come back in a little bit. What we got going on here? Well, you can see it's lifting. That's a fantastic sign. Ooh. Ooh. I know this one has some mechanical locks. So it's going to be interesting to see how much pushing and pulling it's going to take. There we go. All right. And moment of truth. And there's bridging right away. Excellent. So let's see. Where the heck did that happen? So more bridging. This corner came out good. But yeah, so this not good. All right, well, it is what it is. Not perfect by any means. I'll definitely I'll still try to make it work and fix it, but yeah, not very happy with the bridging. My other one, as you can see right here, did not have bridging. But the mold was a little different on this one. I didn't have these holes to potentially risk with leaks, and I resin coated the flanges a lot more and primered it. So yeah, I don't know which step helped it, but this is it's definitely disappointing to see. But at least you get to see it all on the video. So I'm just pop it in the oven and heat treat it or whatever, post cure, and then I'll have to do the other one tomorrow, then see what that one comes out like. All right, so after my last video, you saw the removal of the part. It failed. So I went in, I reprimered my molds the way I typically do now, and I'm gonna try again, and hopefully this time the result will be different. So I'm not gonna record the layup process because it's all the same crap now. However, I will record the removal of the part, see if the primering helps improve my odds of success, if you will. So all right, so I forgot to do a demolding video of this. Yes, actually this is not the one. I think it was. No, it was. Yeah, so this was it. So I forgot to do a demolding video just because I was so excited to take it out of the mold, see if it failed or not, but it didn't. It actually came out looking really good. The only little area I see a little hiccup is this one little corner. There's something weird happening. I don't know if the resin just didn't, like, I may have overcooked my resin a little bit too, heating it up because it's a little cold in the garage right now. But overall, I'm very happy. So this is actually something that I would consider good, especially for how much of a pain this layup is. So this one's good. This one is still not good. So this was the one that you saw the little demolding and it came out with all the bridging. So I do want to redo this one. So doing the primer, it seems like it really helped. And then I actually used duct tape to fill the holes for where the hardware is going to go. So I don't know if the duct tape worked better than the masking tape, but that also, like my mold, when I bagged it, it hit -8 on my little pressure gauge sensor. So that was fantastic. So it was super airtight, really good quality compared to what I've gotten out of that before I primered it. So the last step for me is to wax that one and then unfortunately lay it all up again and go for it again. But we'll see. Hopefully that one will go well. And if it does, I mean, you'll see it. And if it doesn't, I'll probably at this point, because again, I'm doing this for a friend and I'm getting really tired of these. I never ever want to do them again. I'll probably just fix this with just filling all the issues with resin and call it a day. But hopefully, if all goes as planned, it will come out like this one, which actually looked really good out of the mold and didn't really have any issues to fix up. So that's my game plan, is now that I did that mold proper, I'm gonna wax it, do what I do normally, and in theory, it should infuse very well. All right, so here is this one again, another layup. I'm not really doing a layup video of it just because it's a boring process, and this one is just so annoying and time consuming. I want to have music playing in the background and just focus on doing the work. But anyhow, as you can see, just trying to get everything as tucked in, as snug as possible. Started this time focused only on the center, and then once I had that, kind of worked out this area and then slowly worked around the corners. So far everything's looking really nice and tight. I used duct tape this time for these little holes to help prevent air leaking under vacuum. So we will see how this one comes out. This was the one that's been failing. The other one, this right here, worked out fantastic on my first attempt, but that's also because after I saw me fail twice on this, I did go back and primer the molds and do it the way I normally do. So maybe that's the trick for my workflows. The primer might be the last step that seals the deal and makes the molds airtight, just because of how I work. And then maybe it was also the duct tape, because that was the first time I used duct tape and that worked very well compared to the masking tape. So a couple things that could have went wrong or right, but yeah, just gonna finish this one up and then send it, see what happens. All right, here we go. Taking this one out of the oven now, and so I did spot this. I don't know if air got in or what. It seemed like it was good under pressure, but this part has been a pain in my behind. This is the third time I've made this this side, and honestly, if this failed, I'm not redoing it anymore. I'm just gonna fix that one, which had a few flaws, but nothing that can't be fixed. And I'm just done with these Canards. But anyhow, that being said, I'm gonna remove this and we'll see what it looks like. So I'll just pause the video for the moment. All right, so while removing peel ply, it started to pop out of the mold, which is, to me, is a good thing. It means the way I've been waxing, it's been helping. I don't know what we're about to get. Moment of truth. So, here we go. Wow. It worked. It's a success. Okay. Yeah, this definitely is not like the last time I pulled it out. I'm gonna include the failure in the video too, just because, but yeah, I got a little bit of primer in a few little bits and pieces. Gotta clean this with acetone, get some of this residue off, but fantastic. So with that one and this one, there we go. All right, so based on the time of me making this video and the other one, well, the other one is it's a tutorial on how to make this skeleton right here. So this is kind of the same project, but that was a 3D side of the things, and this one's the physical side. But here's a skeleton, 3D printed, and it fits perfect. So it does exactly what I needed to do, and the tip kind of, it started shaking because it was so tall, so it broke. Or it would print and deform, I cut it off. But anyhow, that's the game plan right there. All right, so I figured I'd record this step, and honestly, this is my first time doing it, so it might fail. Well, sort of first time. So as far as the tutorial goes, it might be just a learning lesson of failure, or what not to do. But in a nutshell, I mixed some graphite powder with my fast cure resin. Then I bought these little cake things off Amazon. And so now all I'm trying to do is get all the epoxy into this thing. I don't want to ruin my scissors with the epoxy. I'm just going to use a razor blade. There we go. And now I'm just going to gently, whoa. And moment of truth, connecting the two halves. It would be nice if this would stay in here when I do this part. There we go. All right, perfect. All right, I'm gonna throw it in the oven. And then it's a fast cure resin, so I guess I'll be checking on this later on today. Last one. Now we shall see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a mess with my luck. Okay. Okay. Now to pop it out of the other side. Okay. Okay. Okay, so see, this gap I absolutely hate. I don't know where I went wrong. Maybe I trimmed a little too much prior to, because it looks like for the most part it matches up. But as you can see, I'm having some delamination, so that's fine. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clamp it off. So I'm going to pop it back in the oven, and this time, because I don't have the 3D mold anymore. I don't have to really worry about anything warping. I mean, I have the inside in PETG, but I don't really care. So I'm gonna really let this oven bake away, and it'll kind of post-cure the carbon fiber as well as help cure the resin. So there we go. I don't think it was bad though, so that's good. So I think this tutorial is more or less done, or this breakdown project. So I'm gonna go and start editing the stuff. The last things left for me is just sand and post-work the part, which is just a boring, tedious process. But as far as the carbon fiber and connecting goes, that is good. So luckily it worked out. Had that one part fail. Well, it was this part right here that failed a couple times, but got it all working. So I'm gonna clean these molds just so I could have a nice clean mold, and then yeah, I'm good. I'm done with this one.